Welcome to our training course about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Recent reports show that over 80% of job seekers believe that diversity and inclusivity are important factors when choosing a company to work for. Therefore, companies that understand and appreciate the similarities and differences of their workforce are more successful attracting and retaining talent long-term. In this module, you'll learn about the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace, understand how different cultures impact a workplace, and how to make your workplace more inclusive and equitable. According to a survey conducted by Built-in, almost 25% of companies have teams where 40% of women, Black, Indigenous, and people of color employees feel excluded from the decision-making process. Therefore, it is important that modern workplaces create a safe space for all communities and have diversity, equity, and inclusion principles built in as a central pillar of their ethos and values. Although inclusion and equity are fundamental to human development and are rights that everyone should have, they also have a positive impact on a workplace and its growth. For example, diverse teams bring in more experiences and perspectives from different cultures. The diversity of thoughts and opinions add value to the products or services in the company or help enhance processes, and diverse groups can approach problems differently and often come up with unique solutions, which contributes to the innovative power of an organization. Next, you will learn more about the terms diversity, equity, and inclusion and how they are related to each other.
To become a team that is just, equitable, and inclusive, each member of the team must first understand the different nuances of introduction to diversity, equity, and inclusion before they are actively able to practice them. Diversity in a workplace refers to the presence of differences in race, ethnicity, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, and socioeconomic class. Differences due to physical abilities, veteran status, and whether someone is able to or not able to have children also come under diversity in a workplace. Where equality means that everyone is provided with the same resources and opportunities, equity ensures that each individual is provided with fair and equal opportunities based on their individual needs so they may be able to reach the same outcome. Inclusion is the practice of making everyone in the workplace feel a sense of belonging. Inclusion ensures that every individual feels that they are valued in the organization and that they are able to add value back. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is an ethos created by combining the three elements. In most companies, the responsibility for training lies with the Human Resources Department. They may conduct regular training to ensure that everyone is familiar with the concepts of DEI. However, it is up to each member of a workplace to ensure that everyone around them, whether they belong to different groups or not, feels equal and included in the day-to-day work of the organization. Next, you will learn about different cultures and how they affect the workplace.
In modern workplaces, there are people who belong to different religions, races, and ethnic identities, who come from countries around the world, speak different languages, and celebrate different holidays. The last decade has brought massive globalization and, as a result, massive immigration around the globe. The United States of America and European Union are now becoming more ethnically diverse and multicultural faster than ever before. Culture is an integral part of every person and stays with them even when they live in a new place. Culture shapes a person's identity, their behavior, and makes them who they are, brings people together to celebrate various festivals and mourn together, and preserves the history of a group of people who identify closely with each other. Cultural diversity in a workplace means that people from different cultures are recognized and respected for their differences in interests, talents, and skills. Although trying to understand another culture can sometimes be difficult, it is always worth the effort. Recognizing and trying to understand another culture can lead to the reduction of prejudice and existing misunderstandings, a more open view of the world, and a growth mindset that reduces the likelihood of discrimination against other cultures. to promote cultural diversity in the workplace and help employees better understand each other. Companies today create opportunities for different cultures to mix and share, conduct cultural diversity training, and have clearly defined diversity policies. In the next lesson, you will learn about unconscious biases and their effects.
Every person has prejudices of which he is not aware, which exist deep in his subconscious mind. Yes, even you. Unlike conscious biases, which are explicitly and intentionally discriminatory, unconscious biases can influence one's actions, decisions, and interactions with others without the individual even being aware of it. These unconscious biases are the result of deep-rooted stereotypes or a reaction to attitudes that run counter to one's belief system. Recognizing, acknowledging, and actively working with your unconscious biases can help you understand and correct them. It can help you find out if you or someone else is subject to unconscious biases, and it can give you the confidence to address them. There are 4 common biases in the workplace based on gender, age, similarity, and race. Gender bias refers to a situation in which a person is treated differently or less favorably in hiring or as an employee because of their gender, gender identity, or sexual orientation. They are a victim of gender bias. An example of gender bias is when a person favors employees of a certain gender over others, such as men over women, transgender individuals, or non-binary individuals. This type of bias can be corrected by recognizing and addressing any behavior that suggests a preference based on a person's gender, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Age bias refers to a situation when an employee is given preference based on age rather than potential or experience. For example, younger people often fall victim to the idea that they are less experienced or responsible. Whereas in other cases, imagine an IT company, older people can be thought of as less able to perform technically demanding tasks. Affinity bias refers to a situation in which an employee is often attracted to someone who reflects their personality, style, or behavior. This affinity can result in some employees receiving preferential treatment while others fall victim to affinity bias. For example, some employees prefer people who are of the same culture, ethnicity, or race as themselves. This can lead them to unconsciously discriminate against other members of a heterogeneous group. Unconscious bias in the workplace can be eliminated by reflecting on your own behavior and having the courage to address it when you see others exhibiting such behavior. In the next lesson, we will explore ways to promote inclusivity, equity, and fairness in the workplace.
Promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in an organization is more than just checking a box and doing a few trainings a year. An inclusive organization that is equitable and welcomes diversity has DEI embedded in its mission, vision, and values. It puts its principles of DEI in writing and recognizes the traditionally marginalized groups who are most likely to be disadvantaged. To make it effective, all parts of the organization play an important role. At the management level, in addition to developing a clearly defined and well-articulated policy, steps can be taken to encourage open communication about the various nuances of DEI. For example, the Human Resources team can conduct surveys to solicit employee feedback on the effectiveness of the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy and training. Feedback can be used to measure the success of efforts and can be used to tighten policies and adjust training. If you are a manager or team leader, you can actively advocate for DEI on your team. Make an effort to understand the diversity on your team so that you can be a role model for the team to follow. You can foster a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion on your team, where everyone is mindful of their choice of words, rethinks their actions, and stands up to any discrimination they witness. You should also make your teams aware of the steps and channels available to report DEI violations within the company. If you are part of a team, it is important that you educate yourself in this area, be self-reflective, and be open to other cultures and people from diverse groups. If you understand and know about DEI, you can prevent yourself from becoming a victim of discrimination, and you can support others who may become victims. It is good to know that there are non-governmental organizations, unions, or other local authorities that can provide remediation and help if you find violations of DEI that are not corrected after they are reported to HR or management. Thanks for watching this training course about diversity, equity, and inclusion.